Imola is the venue for the first of our GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup races of the season, and qualifying, a little bit delayed because of earlier dramas, is set to get underway any moment. It's a new season, it's a new calendar, lots of new drivers, new teams, and a new name as well. We are the GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS, round one of the Endurance Cup. But some things never change. David Addison and John Watson with you, and qualifying Watty is going to be great stuff.
What's interesting is the ambience 30 Celsius, but track temperature 25. Very unusual to have the track temperature lower than that high ambient. That'll have a bearing on what happens when these cars go out for their 3 separate sessions, and now they are already going out on track. But what is clear, I should say clear, but maybe in fact is unclear, in that pre-qualifying session we had some hours ago, dominated by Audis. But earlier in the day, when we had free practice, dominated by the 88 Mercedes, the ASP Mercedes. So which car driver lineup? I mean, it's going to be suck it and see, but to get that clear lap with 46 cars on the racetrack at one time, in spite of the circuit being 4.9 kilometers in length, it will become a very busy and very crowded racetrack.
Go along with that, and you see now 46 cars will pour out on circuit for Q1. Those that only have 2 drivers miss Q2 and then go back out again in Q3. And remember, we're not just looking at 1 fast lap here, we're looking at 3, 1 from each segment of qualifying for the bulk of the entry.
And it looks like the Rover Racing Porsche has decided not to hang around. It's got clear road ahead of it. Trying to build a little bit of temperature in the tyres. Whether they are choosing, as I suspect most people will do, to run a new set of tyres, whether they'll run 3 new sets or not will depend on how many sets of tyres they have from the running that we've had so far. We never got to find out if anybody ran new sets of tyres in that pre-qualifying session. But certainly the 31 Audi, Kelvin van der Linde, Bortolotti, Mirko Bortolotti, new to Audi, and Max de Vivier, whether they did or not, their time suddenly popped up towards the end and they went purple in that middle sector, which gave me thought that maybe they've done something just to get a feel, particularly with 2 new drivers in the Audi, that's Bortolotti and Vivier, to give them that sense of where we're going to go, what the car's capable of doing in the maximum grip situation.
A fascinating fact 37 of the day is that this is the first time that the Endurance Cup has run on an anti-clockwise track.
That'll be tough on the neck.
There you go.
I wonder, will race director feel it as well?
Now, 15 minutes per segment. You don't get a lot of time. You don't get a lot of mileage. You've got to be on the money, haven't you?
You've got to be, either you go out as Porsche have done here and nail it and try and get in. Your first flying lap is going to be arguably the best, depending on traffic. If you've got a little bit of rubber, a bit of time left, you might have a second go on your second flying lap. It's all going to be traffic dependent, and how many cars are come out on track, we haven't got a note of just how many cars are currently on track. There will be some that will hang back in the belief that if they let this first group of cars go, that if we go at the point where they're coming in, that's the best solution, the best slot for us. But really, it's Hobson's choice. You take your chances, you go with it, you make the best of what you can do, and that will be the result you'll get in this Q1 session.
So they've all gone pouring out. You want clear track space, as John was saying, if you can get it. The number 99 Rover Porsche then drops down the hill. This is the car that Dirk Werner is behind the wheel of. And coming through from the McLaren just up the road ahead, which is the 59 racing car, Martin Kodrich at the wheel of it. So Dirk Werner will go through. Matt Campbell's Porsche has done an absolute best in the middle sector, so although Dirk Werner puts himself at the top for the moment, let's wait and see what everybody else offers up.
Well, that 145 ain't going to get the job done, because the quickest time we've seen all weekend was done in the morning session by the 88 Mercedes, a 141.6. The later session was a 141.7. And there's somebody who's been off track somewhere. You can see there's been dust kicked up. And that was coming into the Villeneuve chicane, probably here in the exit, the favourite spot to run a wheel off the edge of the track, kick up a bit of dust. So Dennis Linden, the 63, the all-conquering Lamborghini FFF racing team from last year. And Dennis Linden looked like he was wringing the neck in that session earlier today, driving, almost overdriving at points, particularly up at the Variante Alta. That's the tight little right-left chicane. And watch for drivers. I mean, talk about abuse. You could be put in jail for that kind of abuse.
Well, Dennis Lind knows just when to throttle back, but not there because he bounces over the curb. Matt Campbell in the GPX, that's one of the Gulf livery cars, has gone top, 142.719. Marcus Winkelhock is second. Then Thomas O'Moshka was third, but Alvaro Parent now goes third fastest. Where is Dennis the Menace going to blend in at the end of this lap? It's going to be there or thereabouts, isn't it?
Yeah, the traffic ahead of him might just come into play as he comes down to Rivazza. There's two parts to the Rivazza. You break downhill into turn one.
He backed out of it.
It looks like he did back out of it. And that's our producer's given us a bit of a slow-mo action, but I think he did back out of it a little bit. That's the look that the car gets. Also, the top 18 cars in that pre-qualifying session earlier today were covered by just under a second. Look at that. Campbell, fastest overall in Sector 1. Getting a bit of a draft from the back of the Bentley. Can he improve on his time? 1:42.7. That last lap, actually, 42.9, was marginally slower than his current quickest time.
So the Bentley ahead is the Bentley Academy car run by Team Parker Racing. Nicolas Giergaard at the wheel of it. And there with the Targa Florio retro livery is Matt Campbell, and he backs out of it. So he's done the time, he's stuck in traffic. Why press on this lap? Just get out of the traffic.
Why waste the best of the rest of your rubber? So if you can't see a clear run, just get out of it. Raffaele Marciello, go crash bang wallop over the curb into Rivazza. Watch him on the exit.
There he is.
He goes. So what's he going to do? Is he about to run a lap, or is he completing a lap? About to complete a lap. 17th, 18th.
Well, we've got Matteo Cairoli's dynamic Motorsport Porsche quickest, and you've got Dries Van Thor in number 32 Audi on a demon lap as well, because he's done an absolute best in the first sector. Kelvin van der Linde's Audi has now gone top, though. It's going to change with every car over the line. Whoops!
Oh,
way off. That's Van Thor. That's Dries Van Thor.
Well, what has Dries Van Thor done? He's lucky to get away with that coming out of the Piratella up at the top of the circuit, highest part of the Imola circuit. Went and did a bit of skating across the gravel. That will do that set of tires no good at all. Probably gravel. He may have gotten rid of most of the gravel by the time he returned to the racetrack. But that is a wake-up call for the young Belgian driver. Under pressure, no doubt, because that car, the number 31 WRT Audi with Van der Linde, Mirko Bortolotti and Matteo Drui. And of course, Max Vivier, two newcomers to WRT. They have been pretty impressive all through the sessions we've had.
Right, there's Mathieu Drudi then. Dries Van Thor heading back to the pits, I suspect. The Skechers footwork on, not quite so sure-footed in that moment. But Mathieu Drudi has done an absolute best and a personal best. The trouble is now he's a bit stuck in the traffic. He's got Hubert Haupt's Mercedes ahead of him on the road, look, as they come now up towards the completion of a lap. But Drudi, if he can't find a way through, might end up being compromised here. He's not crawling all over the back of Hubert Haupt, and that Mercedes has its strengths at certain parts, but this is not where Drudi wants to be.
No, he wants to have clear air. He doesn't want any compromise whatsoever, especially around the front of the car. When you make your entry into the corner, you're liable to get a little bit of washout from the airflow from the back of the Mercedes, but he's stuck to it. But he couldn't get any closer to the back of the Mercedes. So what can Drudi do? Can he improve? Can he do something? Go second quickest. Right now it's an Audi, almost an Audi lockout with first and second.
Well, Miguel Molina
has just gone here.
Another man on a mission in the Ferrari. He's up to second all of a sudden on a 1:42.5. Matteo Cairoli's Porsche third. Dennis Lind being shown as fourth ahead of Patrick Kujala, who's doing a nice job fifth. There's number 12 then. So that car was quickest. Matt Campbell is now sixth.
Just in the blink of an eye. And that's all you can do. You've got 6.5 minutes of the session remaining. And that's going to give you the best part of, well, 3, maybe 4 laps if you can get clear laps and keep the pace up at the top of the circuit, Variante Alta. That's where you're going to see fireworks, either through qualifying, but certainly in the race, because drivers will, as you call it, David, get their elbows out and try and make an opportunity for themselves. Down the hill here into Rivazza, not quite so easy. It's a downhill braking, and if you shoot down the inside, you need to be sure that you're completely wheel to wheel with the car you're trying to overtake. Otherwise, it'll be messy.
And what can Campbell do on this lap? Personal best, up towards the timing line. 13th he was, 4th he is, and that puts him at the head of the Porsche class, effectively.
So it's Raffaele Marciello who's gone quickest on a 41.899. Just popped that time in. Fastest sector, sector 1. And it's actually, believe it or not, it was the silver Tech 1 Lexus now in second place.
Wow.
We didn't see that on screen, did we? I don't think anybody saw it.
Aurelian Panis. I mean, it's a big car, but there it is up to second. Dust settling as that was the Kelvin van der Linde car running out wide. The WRT green and white Audi. See there what's going on the overall standings at the bottom end. Bernard Delhay in the 108. Bentley is the slowest. We've only got 5 minutes of Q1 to go. So remember, different drivers in different segments of qualifying. Each driver must do a time.
Where is the 63 car going to end up? Dennis Lind in what was the class of the field throughout the 2019 season. That car came out late this morning. We thought maybe that the FFF racing team were playing clever, playing smart by not doing a lot of unnecessary running. They would have done maybe a test or more here prior to coming here. The car is a quick car, but the competition has moved on. In part, I think it's moved on because Pirelli have brought an upgraded tyre, and I think that tyre is helping a number of the engines, a number of the chassis, where previously they may have been a little bit more marginal on the balance, particularly at the back.
That SMP Racing Ferrari also nearly got into the back of Dennis Lind, didn't it? It's Miguel Molina at the wheel. Let's have a look behind. Dennis Lind should be an improver, but so also should number 72 Ferrari, which has dropped down to 12th. So Dennis Lind actually does not improve. But what about the Ferrari? Tell you in a moment.
It stays in 12th.
I'm waiting on my screen for an updated final sector time. So double check that in a moment. Could be that because the cars were close, the V wasn't broken. No, didn't improve. So stays 12th, you're quite right. Matteo Cairoli down to 14th. This should be an improvement. Up to 9th, okay. And we've had an incident between number 90, which is Jorge Cabezas, and 26, which is Michael Blanchiment, and it's under investigation.
Well, Alessandro Pierguidi, another potential winning car, this very, very strong Ferrari entry. James Collado in that car as well as Nicholas Nielsen. Personal best in sector 1 and only 44 hundredths of a second away. Still very much in contact in sector 2. Can traffic just up the road as they come out of Acqua Minerale. It's one of the Bentleys, so probably sufficiently far ahead at this part of the track not to interfere, but may become an issue getting down towards the double left-hander, the Ravazza. So the Ferrari, personal best, that's all you can do. Currently in 10th position. Drops down the hill. So there is the Lamborghini following the Ferrari. So what can... Oh, here goes the Lamborghini, and all Escol gone wrong for those. Alessandro Pierguidi's almost perfect lap is totally and utterly compromised by one of the FFF Racing Lamborghinis, losing it on the exit of Ravazza. Look what's happened now. All of a sudden, well, look at the gravel on the racetrack coming out of the Ravazza. That's not something drivers are going to be keen on. Danger of picking up a bit of the gravel, maybe picking up a puncture as well. It'll clear away pretty quickly because the traffic will manage to dissipate most of it. But nonetheless, those that are coming through just after that incident will be confronted with a racetrack in not ideal condition.
Panic averted, and therefore we have the last minute and 3/4 still to go. Raffaele Marciello at the top of the times now. So he has done a 1:41.899. Matteo Drudi second.
Where's the 15 minutes gone?
Well, exactly. I mean, you lose a good 2 and a bit for an outlap, but then, yeah, it does fly. There is Maro Engel. I still think this could be the winning car, you know, come tomorrow evening.
You always think Maro Engel, Lucas Stolz, and whoever. Such a good... Those two are such a good partnership.
You're right.
So it'll be interesting to see where they end up. And the partner is, of course, Fantana Brill. Sorry, Vince. You see just the residue of gravel on the track. Porsche, the road racing Porsche, trying to pick up. Oh, he's gone into the pit lane, so he's not going to pick up anything. So what can Maro Engel do? He stays 4th, I think. No change.
So the session almost at an end. Raffaele Marciello then will be seemingly the fastest.
So Hubert Haupt, the boss of HRT, doing his stint. So he's the first of the 3 drivers in that car. So who will be in afterwards? It might be Sergei Afanasyev or Finlay Hutchinson. So I expect it'll be Afanasyev in the middle stint. So still Mercedes dominating. I beg your pardon, what am I talking about? Dries van Thor has gone quickest overall, having had that scary moment up at the exit of the Piratella. So Dries van Thor quickest by, it's about 700ths of a second from Raffaele Marciello, then from Matteo Drui in the Audi, and Aurelian Panis in the Lexus.
So the flag is out, session at an end. But Dries van Thor then getting himself up to the top when it matters. So Van Thor by 17 thousandths of a second. That's nothing.
No, it's not. And I mean, I tell you what, after that little fright that Dries van Thor had to manage, and there is the Audi that's currently quickest into Acquamendarale. Christopher Misa being next, and then Charles Verts, young Charles Verts. We're going to have to stop calling him young, because he's now going to be about 14, I think.
They grow up so fast, John.
Oh, yeah, I know. And they grew them tall in Belgium as well.
I saw that beer. They're getting ready to go in Q2 will be Maxime Soulet, taking over from Rodrigo Baptista. So Dries van Thor is quickest in Q1, 1 minute 41.882. Now it gets interesting, because we have the individual session, but we also have the combined qualifying. So we'll try and keep an eye on the session. We've got another screen with the combined. So if we talk about somebody going first and fourth, you'll understand why, because you've got 2 different elements.
Yeah, no, I understand. I get the note now. I was thinking, what are you on about with that note, individual or combined? I thought we were talking about ice skating or something.
It's our synchronised swimming that we're going to practice later on.
Yeah.
Now the pools are open again.
So they say.
Right, so this is where we stand at the end of Q1. This is the easy bit. It gets harder from here on in. It's a good test for us all. Dries van Thor does the time, 17 thousandths, which is a gnat's crotchet, quicker than Raffaele Marciello. Matteo Drudi third, Aurelian Panis fourth. Fifth quickest Mario Engel ahead of Matt Campbell, Kelvin van der Linde, Alessandro Pierguidi, Pereira, Matteo Cairoli, and then Jim Clark. That's 11, and we've only just got over half a second covering them. Alex Fontana 12th ahead of Dennis Lind, Andrew Watson, Miguel Molina. And you keep on going, and you keep on going. Where does the magic second take us to? The top 25 out of 46 on the grid, covered by less than a second. That's insane.
It is. I'm just looking down the top scores. I mean, I think Andrew Watson, we haven't seen any of them this weekend whatsoever. He's jumped in to the Garage 59 Aston Martin and done a respectable time. In my view, it's a Silver Cup car. Dennis Lind will be disappointed. Alessandro Pierguidi, completely compromised, probably was able to do another lap, but the lap that he was compromised on might have been a lap that would have seen him slightly further up than the current 8th position. But really, the grid is being dominated by German manufacturers. The exception is the Lexus. Tech One Racing, Aurelian Panis in 4th place. And again, that car has looked pretty good through the sessions at the times we've seen it, and it's confirmed it by the strong run, just 0.2 of a second away from the quickest time by Dries van Thor.
So we get ready for Q2. We've had a number of teams being fined for speeding in the pit lane, and just looking at other decisions that have come through. Louis Machiel's fined €150, Frank Bird fined €50 for speeding in the pit lane. Baptiste Moulin for Orange One FFF Racing Team relieved of a bit of cash for being too fast down the pit road. So was Florian Latour. Louis Machiel's likewise. What did Barwell do? It was also done for speeding in the pit lane. So we've not had too many draconian penalties, but people being reminded of the need to be safe in the pit road.
I just wonder now, would a team manager and a team think, if we can save maybe 3 or 4 seconds and get out just when there is a gap, is it beneficial to do that and take the pain of paying, a token fine, if you want to call it that, or a fine? I wonder would team principals go to that length, because it is important. We've seen it today. to get out when the track is clear.
But yes and no. The trouble is, don't forget here, you've got a set pit stop delta time, 80 seconds pit in to pit out. So if you did
qualifying.
Oh yeah, for that, yes, that's what you mean, to try and get out of the in the
that's
session.
The point.
Yeah.
That's why I'm thinking. Would team managers be so Machiavellian? Probably, in my opinion, yes.
Yes.
But whether any of them would actually enact their Machiavellian plot is a separate matter.
Yeah, whether they admit it. Yeah, in the race, no. In qualifying, probably yes.
No, the race you wouldn't. No, the race is a different deal. It's just because if you're looking for gaps on the circuit, and you think if we put our driver now, particularly if you're at the beginning of the pit lane, and you're going to have to drive down that 50 kilometres per hour, if you maybe up it to 60 kilometres per hour, you might save yourself in that distance, maybe 3 or 4 seconds.
Possible.
So if it gets you into clear air rather than getting into a battle with a number of other cars, would you look at? I mean, you need to ask a team principal on a dark night, raining dark night, with a couple of good glasses or whatever in them, to loosen them up.
Indeed.
If there's a lady in the pits running a team, we'll loosen her up too.
It's been a long lockdown for him, everybody. He's back out again. Right, new set of boots going on the McLaren, John. And that's going to be a rapid car, isn't it? The McLaren of 59 Racing, because now Lewis Williamson takes the helm of that. Yeah,
I mean, I'm assuming everybody has kept back a new set of tyre for each of these 3 segments. Certainly, it's the first race of the season, and everybody needs to make sure that they get max out of their car. And a circuit like Imola, I mean, overtaking is not easy. The cars are so competitive, so the opportunities to pass are few and far between. And if you get bogged down, you lose the benefit of your tyre.
Giacomo Altway, Super Trofeo champion and International GT Open champion, ready to go. Julian Andlauer for Rover, ready to go. Another graduate of Porsche's junior program via the Porsche Super Cup. Klaus Bachler will go. Dirk Werner has done.
56 years. The basis of this car has been in production. It actually got introduced, I think, at the Paris show in end of '63. And essentially, I mean, the floor pan, the bit that binds the whole car together, is probably the same floor pan. And that's why it's expensive to make it. And maybe the latest ones, the Gen 2s, I think there may be a slight revised concept to try and have a more inexpensively, I was going to say that, rather than cheaply, to manufacture. Car's expensive to manufacture because it's very old design.
Pierre-Alexandre Jean for Bentley. Another historic name. No M-Sport Works cars this season, but plenty of private teams. Florian Scholzer ready to go as well. And Q2 underway. Now this will have 3 cars less because we've got 3 with only 2 drivers.
2 drivers, yeah.
Still going to be busy.
Yeah, so the car Andrew Watson was in. That's one on the garage, 59, number 159. It's a 2-driver lineup. So I think Andrew will be a busy boy. Tomorrow he'll do the bulk of the driving, I suspect. He'll start and then finish, and there we are.
It's Clement Zeiler ready to go for Santa Loc.
And I know that I was banging on about the new Pirelli tyre, or the revised Pirelli tyre. And I think that the car that it seems to me, by watching what we've seen over the 2 sessions, that has helped the most is in fact the Audi, because even you're looking at Bibier coming in and Mirko Bortolotti, don't have a huge amount of experience, but the way they were able to lean on the back of the car and get on the throttle, turn the wheel, get on the throttle, sends to me that there's confidence behind in a car that sometimes is a very knife-edge car to drive on the limit.
All right, there goes Rinaldi's Ferrari. I mean, you said a few minutes ago, where does the 15 minutes go? Well, look, we're a minute and a half in. Some cars are still in the pit lane. They're only being shepherded out now. So this is about 1 quick lap per driver. It's not about mileage, is it?
No, and I suspect it's going to be the top 20. They're going to be out early to max out some of those cars that are further down the field, maybe outside the top 20, maybe outside the top 30, let alone the top 40, aren't going to be so exercised, because their positions are going to be basically, they are where they are. The top 20 are going to have to make it work for themselves. So therefore, it's absolutely imperative that they get out at the earliest opportunity, clear track, and there's that magnificently, not decal, but just, you could call that an Andy Warhol almost. Yeah. We've had a Roy Lichtenstein Mercedes. We've now got an Andy Warhol Lamborghini.
Yeah, we've been talking about liveries of cars. There are some very creative ones this season. Maybe during lockdown, people have got time on their hands and they've come up with more exciting liveries. Leo Machitsky then, straight away, is on the money. The Russian driver, very, very quick. He's an A+, really, he's Leo. Goes round the outside of the Ferrari there, up towards Tosa. And now he's on the power.
So up the hill, and if you walk this, it is quite, I mean, if you're a fit young person, you probably manage it without even drawing breath. But when you get into your 30s, you're struggling.
Well, road to himself, Leo Machitsky plunges downhill through the trees, the walls either side sort of hemming you in a little bit.
And of course, the trees create an avenue as you come down from Paratella all the way down to Acqua Minerale. Very atmospheric, a beautiful part of the racetrack. Up to the less beautiful Variante Alta. The chicane was added many years ago. That used to be just a quick left-hand corner. Wonderful, wonderful, way back in the dark ages. When I remember it.
Machitsky's on a mission.
Oh!
He's not hanging about. Up past one of the Ferraris.
And he's, come on, look at that. I mean, that's ridiculous. That is just, that's wrong. A guy on a flying lap set purple, then personal best, and utterly and totally in one lap completely just blown by one car going slowly in reverse, another car getting compromised, and Machitsky not being able to do anything about it. So you say you make your own luck in life, but that one definitely was not of his own making.
So right now, the fastest is Romano Ricci in 1:08 Bentley. And we'll be keeping an eye to the times in the session, but also what goes on aggregate. And on aggregate, Matt Campbell and Patrick Pilet at the wheel, are quick. So what you've got on the totem pole is the combined qualifying. So we'll be talking about a session, but combined is really what's going to give you the grid. So that graphic on the screen is the key thing here.
Yeah, and Andy Soucek has done what he's still done. He's currently 9th on his lap personal best. First sector fastest, second sector Kim Louis Schramm has gone fastest overall in the final sector, and they are currently, that car, the 66 Attempto, is the quickest car so far to ride with Andy Soucek. So what can Andy Soucek do to complete his first flying lap? Second in this session on a 1:42.266.
Okay, and where does that put them on aggregate? Puts them second on aggregate as well. So good effort, Andy Soucek's lap time there.
But things are changing.
Yeah.
Maxime Soule in the sister car has popped up into second place. He's managed to take final fastest sector overall. So currently, entire Porsche have gone quick. It's just changing cars coming through the road racing Porsche.
Yeah, Julien Andlau, quickest in the session. Matteo Drudi's Attempto car, now with, who's at the wheel of it, has gone top on aggregate. So 66, Kim Louis Schramm at the wheel at the moment. So 66 is on pole on aggregate. And as we've been saying, Julien Andlau is fastest in Q2. That's Nicholas Nielsen.
So the compromise for Alessandro Pierguidi, I should say, in the earlier session. So what can Nielsen do? He's got the same issue. He's got traffic ahead of him, and there are slower, essentially slower cars as we go up to the top of Paratella and row racing. Drops down, so good. Well, passes overall the first sector. Nice to see a bit of purple. Middle sector, personal best.
Now this car's third on aggregate, so Julien Andlau's time is a good one, but is it going to be the next lap good enough? Well, I don't think it is. Look at all the traffic. That's gone.
It is. He's snookered, unless he can let, well, the Mercedes is generous and lets him go through, which I somehow think is highly unlikely. As we go with the Bentley and Soucek, and we have to complete another lap. So will this end up put him second overall in this session? Comes across the line. There's no change.
And there is Andlau, still stuck. Look, behind the Mercedes. 8 minutes to go. Comes up towards the timing line. So Julien Andlau will break the beam. And as he does so, stays second in the session, but goes, where on aggregate? Fifth now.
Yep, fifth overall. So that's a disappointment. Second quickest, and then the combined Bortolotti, Mirko, the Lamborghini man for so many years. See how stable the back of the Audi looks. I never remember seeing Audis coming out of that kind of corner on power looking as stable. But of course he's caught behind the Mercedes, and that's going to be a further compromise for the Italian. But he's hustling the Audi. Oh, and well, he's get out of it, Mirko. You're going to waste your tyres if you try and pursue the Mercedes. That's time lost. Save the tyre. There he is. He's heard. He's been listening.
So he bails. So right now in the session, it is Maxime Soulet who is the fastest. On aggregate, it is number 32, Audi, back to the top. So that's the car that Dries van Thor has now given over to Christopher Mies.
So Bortolotti's got to start. Here he comes now. Started all over again. And he's still got the similar traffic directly ahead of him, but maybe that little bit further behind.
Pole position, Luca Stolz. So Mercedes number 4 goes top in the session and goes top on aggregate.
One might say, as you pointed out earlier, is there a big surprise?
Well, thank you for that. Timothy Bure could be a surprise because he's gone up to 4th on aggregate here in the Lexus. 6th in the session, 4th on aggregate. Good effort this from the Silver Cup car.
Again, the Lexus has looked strong through the 2 previous sessions. As we look at the garage, 59, Andrew Watson. He did a good job. He was 14th quickest. And oh, Andrew! You didn't need to be a little bit loose on the exit of Ravazza. That'll cost you a few tenths of a second. Personal best, first and second. He got a personal best in his 3rd as well, so he's done well. That was a good lap.
Yeah. Right, so there you've got the Audi through, Andrew Watson behind. There's the Lexus of Timothy Bure, and he's done an absolute best in the first sector, but look at the time he lost in the middle sector.
I don't know why, because he wasn't particularly close to the Mercedes he's following. So that's difficult. Next we can get a review of whatever, and they can see the Mercedes clambering all over the curb, and likewise the Lexus following it.
Well, traffic is going to be the problem, and some of the lap time pace is going to be whether you get lucky. So there is Bure. He's not lucky on this lap, as you see. He's got the traffic ahead of him. Right, Bortolotti has now gone fastest in the session, and that car is on pole on aggregate.
Ah, Mirko got it together. He dropped back, he did the right thing. He didn't waste the tires trying to clamber all over the back of the Mercedes. Dropped back, got clear air, 141.8. Still not the fastest lap so far. 141.6 is the fastest lap over the 3 sessions that we've been watching today, this morning, this afternoon, and now into qualifying.
Nicholas Nielsen through. Andrea Caldarelli, incidentally, in this session, but he's only 14th overall, 15th in Q2.
Disappointing, and more, but not just surprising.
Yeah, exactly. However, the grid, of course, as we keep saying, is based on all these combined times, so it's consistency across the 3 drivers and the 3 sessions that counts. Nicholas Nielsen breaks the beam, and that car is 3rd on aggregate. It's 5th in the session.
5th in the session, but 3rd. That's the most important thing, is the aggregate time. So that's good to have a Ferrari at the sharp end provisionally. Look at the traffic again. It's just a nightmare. 4 minutes remaining. If you back off, you're going to be engulfed by somebody coming up behind you. If you try and maintain your pace, you're going to be affected by the aero wash from the car directly ahead of you. There is Caldarelli. Oh, and he's
backed out of
it. He's backed out of it, yes. It's the 60, that wasn't the 69.
It was the McLaren, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a McLaren.
Oliver Wilkinson, Rob Bell's car that went past Rob Bell at the wheel of it. But yeah.
So Caldarelli is looking in his mirror probably as much as he's looking directly ahead, hoping to find a slot where he can slot into. There is Williamson in the McLaren. So he probably hasn't got a bad, but he's managed to get ahead of the Porsche. And now he's got relative clear air, Rob Bell. So canny driver from up northeast, isn't he? Isn't he?
He's a northeasterner by birth. He lives in St Helens now. Merseyside. Into the pit lane comes Rob Bell. So he lost time in the middle sector, and that'll be him done. He'll bail, and they'll get ready for Q3, and that means they'll put Joe Osborne into the car. So it's still number 31 Audi, quickest on aggregate. Here is Norbert Siedler, who made a name for himself in Porsches in the Carrera Cup and in Super Cup. But for Emil Frey in the Lamborghini crests the rise there.
Interesting, it's Audi first and second in this session. Still Audi overall quickest, but the number 25, Santa Lock Racing, isn't second combined.
So Siedler plunges downhill, brakes hard, turns in. 2/10 up in the first sector. It's interesting to see not only that people seem to lose in the middle, but massive chunks in the middle.
Oh, and all over, look, I mean, not only he loses in the third sector as well by driving off the racetrack. Not just 2 wheels off, virtually all 4 into the gravel. So this lap will be a complete waste of time for Siedler. He lost, what, 1.7 seconds as a consequence. So what went wrong? Look, runs, it's coming through now. Just gets too wide, too loose. And even, I don't think the aero effect from the cars he was following was the reason for that. I think he just didn't have the bite, the grip. He put too much pace on the entry to the corner and the tire, and the car just didn't want to know.
Dorian Boccolacci then in the car that's now second in the session, but you have to go a long way down to find where he is on aggregate.
But he's only 7,000th of a second down in that mid-sector, so his mid-sector is in relative good. Not quite so good in the entry into Ravazza. The back end wanted to step outside, got it rebalanced. Car looks good on the exit of the part 2 of Ravazza, so come up across the line to see what he will do in this second session, whether he can improve on his current second overall as he goes across the line. 142.5, and that is considerably slower than he did earlier in the session.
So second best time, 9th on aggregate. There you go, that shows you the discrepancy, doesn't it? That's the grid thus far that you're looking at, the combined state. So it's the best average time, so you're averaging the time set by 2, and then it'll be 3 drivers. Patrick Pilet comes over the timing line, 4th on average. Goes through in the GPX car, and with 27 seconds on the clock there as he came into Tamburello, I would imagine he'll head for the pit lane at the end of this lap.
Yeah, that 142.0, but what, just under 3/10 of a second away from current quickest time by Bortolotti. And I mean, I'm impressed at what Bortolotti has done. Stepped out of the family, the Lamborghini family, for which he's been a part for so many years, into the Audi family, albeit that they have similar running gear. And Dries van Thorp, leave your fingernails alone, Dries.
So the flag is out as Lewis Williamson here comes up to the timing line. Let's see what that lap does for him. 14th on aggregate on the combined classification.
So I don't know whether Dries van Thorp is happier or miserable that the sister WRT car is currently in combined quickest overall.
He's only 6th on the grid.
It's not where he would like to be.
Oh. Especially with this interloper from Lamborghini coming along and putting his car up at the top. With, admittedly, a little bit of help, because Kelvin van der Linde was good in the first session. Timur Bogoslawski there, taking over from Raffaele Marciello.
They've kind of faded a bit. You can see they're not even showing in this session in the top 20. So Bogoslawski's going to need to do something. Christopher Mies, somebody who you can always rely upon, depend upon. Good exit from the Variante Alta, carries good speed, but again 3/10 of a second down. Personal best first. So I don't know where it is that everybody appears, or most appear to be losing. They do a green session, a green sector. Now Mies compromised, but he's got up the inside of the Butz and Gignon BMW, but will have lost a little bit of time. You're never quite sure whether that car is going to give you ground or it's going to cut across the front of you once you've committed. Mies made the decision, I think, for the Butz and Gignon BMW.
So Mies goes through, and 6th on average on the combined classification, even though that session hasn't been standout. But the Skechers footwear car, 19th, Christopher Mies, but 6th on aggregate. So again, quite a discrepancy, but it's an interesting way of doing the grid, this, and it works, because we had a period where you would end up with a car with a very quick driver setting the time and a much slower co-driver starting it, and all sorts of carnage happening.
Don't start me on that.
Well, quite.
I talked myself into so much trouble a number of seasons ago when I expressed an opinion, and I'm delighted to see we've got an ideal qualifying method across the drivers in each of the cars, and it's the fairest way as well, in my view.
So there's Marco Bortolotti. Still do a double take and see him with an Audi badge around his neck, don't you?
It is a bit strange. That's it. Thumbs up there. Mirko, no, he's done a very good job, I must say. I'm impressed. That transition was never going to be easy, and he's made it look easy.
So this is the session. Bortolotti's time ahead of Boccolacci. Luca Stoltz going third ahead of Maxime Soulet. Patrick Pilet going fifth ahead of Nicholas Nielsen, then Lewis Williamson. The car of Valentin Asclot did go out and went eighth from then Mathieu Cairo, Christian Engelhardt and Andy Suchet rounding out the top 10. Put that into aggregate. Well, it is number 31 Audi at the top, so it's Bortolotti, Stoltz, Mathieu Drudi, Patrick Pilet, if you take the combined times. Surprise number 40 Porsche is only 20th. Louis Delatraz, admittedly having to adapt from Formula 2 back to GT cars in his series debut, but he's a long way back. But inevitably, come the race, there's going to be so much shuffling. People start to wonder why they put all the effort into qualifying. You want to be ahead of any dramas. That's one key element to it, but it's the race that counts, of course. Adrian Delina, Stuart Hall giving way next to Benji Goethe. Where do we have Andrea Bertolini's Ferrari? He will take that over, and it was 36th in that last session. Hiroshi Hamaguchi doing the two stints. At the bottom is the 67 Porsche, which is the AM car, isn't it, for that team? Of Mauro Calamia, Roberto Pampanini and Ivan Yakima.
Disappointing to see the Garage 59 Aston Martin of Goodwin, West, and of course Johnny Adam down in 44th or 45th position. But Johnny Adam is going to go into the car for this session, and I would imagine that'll elevate it up considerably. But it will probably illustrate the level of performance between, with respect to Alexander West and Chris Goodwin, that Johnny Adams, that's what a proper professional racing driver is in that car to do.
Yes, indeed. There, ready to go, is the number 100 Get Speed entry. Maxi Buch and Fabian Schiller have driven, and now Alessio Lorandi, former single-seater Formula 3 racer, will take over. So another driver with a career change coming into GT racing. The final 15 minutes set to get underway. Sven Muller will go for dynamic in the Pro class car, the overall car. So Matteo Cairoli and Christian Engelhardt, another defectee from Lamborghini, have done. Yep.
Christian Engelhardt with the engine now behind the rear wheels rather than ahead of the rear wheels.
Exactly. Well, it's from Porsches that he made his name initially in one-make Porsche events. Mathieu Jaminet will take over number 12, the GPX Golf car.
Yeah, expect to see that car. You're supporting Matt Campbell, and it's almost got I think it's maybe more like a wrap than it is a paint job. Most teams use wraps today because it's the quick and inexpensive way of liverying up your race car.
Yeah, indeed. Arthur Rougier, who shone in early esports races in lockdown, he will be very much the driver to watch in number 26 Audi for Santa Luc. Good to go. And he is Arthur Rougier. Ignore Adrian. I don't know where that's come from.
I think this is wonderful. This is probably the most outspoken graphic on any car here this weekend. I call it the Roy Lichtenstein entry.
It reminds me of my head after a really bad night on Belgian beer. That's what I see.
Do you?
You have too much delirium tremens. That's what it does to you.
Well, I'll leave that to you.
Just wait till Spa. I'll get you.
No.
But it's a great livery. The Czech artist Michael Sepka designed it. 107 Bentley, ready to go. And that's going to be Seb Morris, the North Walian, behind the wheel of it. Right, we're in business. Last 15 minutes of qualifying. So we'll have a hunt around and find the star turns here. There is the GPX car out on track, and the session is live. Some, of course, want to be first out in clear air. Others will go out a lap late or half a lap late to buy themselves the clear track space. But that is a busy pit lane.
It's going to be a busy racetrack too. Christopher Haase behind the wheel, and I wonder if he's still racing. He has a pair of favourite pink racing boots.
Who's that, sorry?
Christopher Haase.
Oh, right, probably.
Yeah. But you only notice them when you see him in the podium or Park Ferme.
Away he goes. So the Audi down the pit road. Interesting how they're hanging back in some cases here, but we will get the pit lane emptied in due course.
And the basic reason is everybody is aware that it's a one-lap wonder, so don't really want to go out in the early part of the session and find yourself compromised. We've seen it happen through the two preceding sessions. There is the Porsche, one of the first cars on the track, so we're going to maybe see if we can follow it. We've got the BMW behind, and I'm not quite sure whether the Porsche is holding the BMW up or the BMW up is deciding to just hang back behind the Porsche, knowing that if he does overtake the Porsche, he's going to be overtaken again very quickly. So we're on. Here we go, on board. Here we are with the Porsche coming out of the Ravazza. Okay, coming down, start finish straight. This has changed. There should be a dive off to the right, a chicane, then back on the start finish straight. Here we are now, going past the pitch. Absolutely, Harry Flatters down into Tamburello. In the days of old, there was no chicane at Tamburello. The effort that they made with the chicane, it's a good chicane, it's quick, and it gets quicker as you go through it, so there's a good flow, but I think you have to say the flow is going to be absolutely stymied. He's got two Porsches directly ahead. One's given ground, that's good news. Second one, whether that's going to be so kind. Matt Campbell got the lights flashing. The second one has stepped aside, let the lead of the three Porsches go through. So this is a difficult time. After Jaminet does not really want to sit any longer. He's got two Mercedes, no, an Audi and a Mercedes directly ahead of him. So Jaminet got a personal best. That's the green sector one. Naturally, it's his personal best. It's his first time through it on a flying lap.
And the clock ticks on down, 12 minutes and counting. So there is Mathieu Jaminet hustling on. Down through Acqua Minerale. Got cars ahead, cars behind. Can't give up a lap. Can't get in the way. Can't plan. It's all bit hair and scare 'em.
Look at it. I mean, it's the worst. I mean, give it up, Matt. Don't even bother. Just step aside. Let all these cars go by. I think he's given it up because he needs to find space. The danger is that by doing that, he's going to allow cars that are running behind to close down on them and possibly get ahead of them.
Right, number 60 McLaren is ready to go. So that's going to be Ben Barnicoat in that car this time. Fred Verviche, absolute best in the first sector.
So Verviche on it. Oh, is he ever on it? Half a second up. Okay, that's in this session. But look at Verviche. Good, clean run out through the exit of Acqua Minerale. Up to Variante Alta. Wow, he's quick through there. You can see the way the car just transitions one way, back the other. Now he's got the lights flash. Can the Mercedes give way? Is it on a flying lap or is it on the building lap? Coming down into Ravazza, Verviche does not want to lose momentum. The Mercedes is going to probably cause certainly a couple of 3/10 of that momentum to go. But you've got to keep at it. You just got to keep charging. So Verviche going to go across the line. He's going to go quickest so far on the group of cars in Q3, and wait to see what comes up on the timing and scoring. 141.8, so that is still a fraction of a second slower than was attained by Bortolotti in Q2.
So 10 minutes, 2/3 of the session to go. Flies by, doesn't it? And let's see then as we get into the final part of this session how it's all going to pan out. So in a moment, we will start addressing the session times as well as the overall.
So right now it is the Audi of Fred Verviche that is overall quickest. Christopher Haase in his Audi second quickest, then the first of the Bentleys in third place.
Right, Jules Gounon is quickest within this session.
It's just a minute all on Max Vivier. So personal best, first and second sector. So he is looking for a strong to back up the job that was being done by his newcomer Mirko Bortolotti. So Vivier comes across line. So what's this time going to be? Where will this place? So 7th overall, personal best, all 3 sectors. So that car currently is 7th quickest, 4th row of the grid.
Absolutely, but ahead of many, so it could be the end of the world. It could be worse. So Jules Gounon with an absolute best in the middle sector presses on. Now we're talking about Gounon in terms of the session. How does this put us next in terms of overall? Well, it's the 66 Audi. Fred Verviche still at the top from Vincent Abril, and James Collado has got 51 Ferrari up to 3rd on the grid.
That's excellent. What we want was a Ferrari at the front. We haven't seen a lot of the Ferrari. They've been doing their homework basically, but Collado has delivered right now. So they're going from 3rd to 4th because it's Felipe Fraga has gone quickest overall in the 88 Mercedes. We've got Vincent Abril in the number 4 car, also looking to try and make it a Mercedes front row lockout, displace Fred Verviche in the number 66 Audi that is currently sharing the front row. Gounon's gone, it's just, we can't keep up with it.
So Felipe Fraga now goes to the top on average on the combined times in 88 Mercedes, ahead of Verviche, Gounon, Abril, Haza, Collado. Sergei Sorokin 7th. Abril again, chunk of time lost, middle sector.
You can't. That is the bogey part of the racetrack for pretty much everybody, and I don't understand it. It's not a particularly complex part of the racetrack. You get to the top of Piratella, then drop down to Acqua Minerale, but that's the part where everybody in general have been losing the biggest bulk of their times. So Abril comes up to finish another lap. So where will this, in terms of 141.9, not a bad lap,
No.
but it doesn't do anything.
Puts them 3rd on the grid, and that is the Team Parker Racing Bentley having a drama. Frank Bird at the wheel of it. Now Fred Verviche is on a demon lap, absolute best, personal best in sectors 1 and 2. That's 55 Audi, but 66 is the one to watch on this lap.
Yeah, the beauty of it. There it is. So he's again close to another car, but I think he's going to get away with it. Oh, he's got 2 cars ahead of him, not just one. So he's got this guy Ferrari, so he's got past 1 car. He's going to just pick up whatever the residue of the aerodynamic wash, draft, whatever you want to call it, from the 73 Ferrari. Goes across start finish line. Verviche goes quickest overall. Goes an Audi now quickest overall, and Fred Verviche has delivered.
He has indeed. So it's an Audi on pole position. Within this session, it's still Jules Gounon who has done the best time, but within the combined average of the drivers, then you're looking at the Audi number 66 as being on provisional pole position. Thomas Neubauer,
yeah,
hustling on in the Lexus, and boy, is he going.
No, I'm just going to say he's gone fastest overall in sector 1. I mean, the fastest lap has been 1 minute 41.2. That's about 3/10 quicker than we have seen so far all day. But this is the car. He's got a personal best in the middle sector. It's 200s down overall, but this is still going to put the Lexus right back in the box seat. There's nips and tucks all the way through Variante Alta. Car has got poise, got balance, it's got grip, and has been driven exceptionally well by Thomas Neubauer.
So he's done an absolute best, he's done a personal best, he's actually got away relatively lightly in terms of traffic, hasn't he? Because there's a car ahead, yeah, but he's probably going to be able to get past that on the pit straight, that long run. He's up the curb. So Neubauer with the Audi there, that's Benji Goethe ahead of him, getting all rattly over the curb. The Bullet Racing athlete, Benji Goethe, up towards the timing line comes Neubauer. Could this put him to the top of the times within the session? Let's see. No, it doesn't. It keeps him 6th in the session and 5th on aggregate.
Whether he lost time in that last sector due to Goethe running wide, I don't know. Let's look at Vivier. So he's personal best in sector 1, up the hill out of Tosa, to climb up to Piratella, stay on the left, bring the car across. You get a bit airy-fairy, a bit light, then settle down, enter into Piratella, let the car flow out to the outside of it. Use the curb, that's quite legitimate as long as you don't get all 4 wheels off the racetrack. Then into the shadows now, down into Acqua Minerale, 2-part corner, second apex, let the car release. You run the curb on the exit, but you're putting left-hand lock down to correct the car as you turn left to climb yet again. And something he's working, driving one-handed. What a star!
Something's loose, isn't it? Look, the cable's dropped down.
It's just like a communication or something. It looked like a radio communication.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
But there it is. He's trying to pin it back up again.
Yeah.
It's rattled over the curb, and that's a distraction he could well do without.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't need that flying around.
No.
The G-forces alone, if you don't put it back into place, it'll be doing its own version of weightlessness.
So the flag imminent, 4 more minutes to go. James Collado through, 6th on aggregate now. Again, losing time in the middle and the last sectors there.
That was last lap was 8th, quickest overall. But anyway, so Collado on the 3rd row of the grid. So it's Audi, Mercedes, Lexus, Ferrari. First Porsche 7th, first Bentley 8th, Ferrari 9th, and Audi in 10th.
So Felipe Fraga rattles out wide. Wide.
Where are FFF Racing Lamborghini? Where are they? Are they vanished?
On aggregate, you've got to go a long way down. You find 18th, number 63.
You are joking.
I wouldn't joke about things
well,
like
I'll
that.
tell you what, I don't know what's been going on. Maybe, you know, I don't know. I don't want to say anything that would compromise myself, but that's a surprise.
Well, Marco Mappelli is at the wheel. He's not done yet, in fairness, so let's see, can he squeeze anything else out of this before the end? But the car actually, in the session, is only 20 seconds. There he is.
Yeah, but look at his times. There's nothing green, there's nothing purple. I mean, he's driving the wheels off the thing, as Marco Mappelli has always want to do. So, have we seen the BOP? What's happened on that? It hasn't been discussed particularly. So maybe, I don't know. Would you BOP a competitive car from last year into a new season, or would you start from scratch and just base it on?
The BOP has always worked out for the different grades of track at the start of the season on the test day.
Yeah,
the trouble is, this has been added into the calendar since, so there's very little data about BOP for here, isn't there?
Yeah, but there was a test day in March in Paul Ricard.
Correct, that's what
and that is not the basis of where they determine whatever. Anyway,
pretty much, yes.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know. I mean, obviously nobody's been here before. Don't know. Maybe Andrea can enlighten us at some point tomorrow. Well, I don't think enlightening isn't maybe what it's all about, but
don't rule them out. 3 hours,
never
pit work, good drivers, don't rule them out.
Absolutely not. I would never rule that team or car out, because what they did last year was, well, it was unique. Yeah. Fantastic.
Now, James Collado you can't discount. He's 2nd now within the combined times, so he's on the front row of the grid. So you've got Fred Verviche fastest, or that car fastest within the session, and up at the top on aggregate. It is him behind the wheel of it, isn't it, in this session?
Yes, it is.
There is Johnny Adam.
So 3/10 again, that middle sector. So, I mean, this car was 45th, 44th combined at the end of session 2, so I don't know where Johnny can drag it up to, but I was thinking it'd be further up than 43rd or 44th.
Well, through he turns. A minute to go. He'll get one more lap out of this if he wants it. But Attempto racing for pole position. Now, that, I think, is a good effort. And if we'd have had money on it at the start, I suspect we'd have lost a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a first race. You just stick the tail on the donkey. Interesting, Johnny Adam coming across the line now. Andrew Watson, in his stint, did a very good time in the Garage 59. So 37th. The sister car, the 159 car, 17th.
Yeah, 37th on aggregate, but Johnny Adam 13th in the session, which is a bit more like it. So on his pace, he's up there.
Oh, he's dragged it, screaming and shouting all the way up.
Yeah.
But I mean, his teammates didn't really contribute quite enough. Andrew Watson and the sister car benefited from maybe a slightly stronger teammate in the 2-car driver lineup.
Right, 10 seconds to go. You're on board with Mathieu Vazivière in a car that is going to drop down, of course, from its earlier pace. That's Arkin Arca, the Attempto boss. Very happy about pole position. Vazivière finds an errant Lamborghini ahead of him, which was 63. That was Marco Mappelli having a moment.
Oh, Marco, what are you doing? Get out of the way now. Let Vazivière, he's pulled over. So he compromised himself in the exit of the Villeneuve chicane, so no point in getting in the way of a car that's trying to complete a lap. The session, the flag is out, so this time will count. So nothing of any note in sector 1. In fact, quarter of a second down. Oh, just careful on the curb on the outside as you go through the second part of Acqua Minerale. 6/10 down, so forget it. I mean, there's no gain that I can see on the last sector for the 31 Audi. Riviere he's got again traffic directly ahead of him. He's going to catch up to it. Looks like it's not necessarily running at full pace. So they come through the curve down into, there it is, down into Ravazza. So he might as well just drive in the pits because he's not going to change an awful lot.
Yeah.
And where are they overall?
He's going to take the flag.
Well, they're currently combined of 5th, so maybe there's something in it. We'll wait and see. But currently combined 5th, might consolidate that.
Yep, stays 5th.
So that was the reason to stay out.
Yeah. Well done at Tempto Racing. An excellent job.
Outstanding.
Man. Yeah.
Outstanding. I think an outstanding job from the, of course, a Ferrari likewise. Maybe not such a big surprise to see the 88 Mercedes in 3rd, possibly to see a Porsche on the 2nd row of the grid. And then you got another Audi and another Mercedes.
So a good job done. Definitely Matteo Drudi is a happy man. Fred Vervish, the Audi factory driver, put into the team this year. Yeah, Attempto, Aki Narka's team, made a name for itself in Carrera Cup Germany, in Porsche Super Cup, came into GT World Challenge Europe under its previous title a good few seasons ago. Took a while to get the right car for the right team. They tried running different cars, and with Audi, great success, even though it's predominantly been a Porsche team that gave it its results in early days. Kelvin van der Linde strides away. The teams now get the cars back, and this is how we look then in the combined order. So number 66 Audi of Matteo Drudi, Kim Louis Schramm and Fred Vervish will start from pole position alongside Alessandro Pierguidi, Nicholas Nielsen and James Colado's Ferrari. Mercedes 3rd and Porsche 4th, Audi 5th, Mercedes 6th, Lexus 7th, Bentley 8th, Ferrari 9th, Porsche 10th, and on it goes with a 46 strong entry. A great grid. And look at the average and how many you get within a second. 15 within 4/10, and 26 out of 46 covered by just under a second. If ever you want proof that BOP keeps cars close together, there it is. So it's going to be a fascinating grid, and don't expect that this is how it's going to finish. There's going to be an awful lot of shuffling. Good to see the Bentley of the young guns, Kiergaard, Mackay and Bird, moving up to 27th on the aggregate, amongst other stories throughout that qualifying session. And also there you see the car of Fabian Barthez, the Manchester United goalie of years past, 35th. Andrea Bertolini only getting the Ferrari 52 up to 36. That's a replacement car for one that had fire damage throughout the early part of the week. The Raymond Vos Tom Onslow Cole car 41st, and at the back is the 46th qualifier, number 108 Bentley, Stefan Tribodini, given driving duties in Q3, but not being able to get the car on average any higher than the rear of the grid. So qualifying done, plenty of drama, plenty of excitement. It began with errant Lamborghinis running off the road coming through Villeneuve, and all the way through the session there was action going on. As you see there, the Dynamic Motorsport Porsche being given a bit of a squeeze coming out of Tosa. The WRT Audi running out of road. We have this big lose from 555 out of the Orange One stable that got right in the way of Pierre Guidi and gave Nikolai Kiergaard a real heart stopper as he tried to avoid it. Number 32, the Audi that Christopher Mies, Dries Vanthoor have been sharing, showing its pace right the way through the session. And Q2 getting underway with the cars again pouring out on the track. Mercedes, Audi, all up there, all looking competitive. And there, Kelvin van der Linde, after a job well done, watching on as Q3 got underway, the final element of qualifying, the grid-deciding element of qualifying. And again, the Emil Frey Lamborghini running out of road, rattling over the runoff area, bringing a bit of gravel onto the circuit. Medici blasting up the hill in the Tempesta Racing Ferrari. A big slide and a spin for Frank Bird. Didn't do that set of Pirellis any good, but thankfully avoiding any damage. Off the road went Benji Goethe. rattled its way off the road. We look forward then to the race tomorrow. From John Watson and David Addison, it's goodbye for now.